Revenge destroys everything. The Last of Us. Season 2 isn't about the infected. It's about what revenge does when the world stops having consequences. It's a story where survival isn't the prize. Ellie moves through ruins like every choice is necessary. A door clicks shut. Spores hang in a flashlight beam. Someone flinches before the sound arrives, because the real threat is what comes after the fight. One death doesn't solve anything. It starts a chain. And every necessary choice leaves fingerprints. Grief turns into a plan. The plan turns into a rule. The rule turns into permission. And the longer that permission lives, the more people confuse payback with justice. Communities don't collapse from bites. They collapse from stories people repeat until they believe them. They deserved it. Here's the catch. In a lawless world, revenge can feel like order, like the only system left, but it never balances anything. It spreads. It recruits. It makes hurt contagious, so the next person feels righteous doing the same thing back. If season 2 stays honest, the twist is brutal. The apocalypse isn't the fungus. It's the moment you decide someone else's pain is the solution. Once you cross that line, who's left to call you the hero? Alone in enemy territory. Daryl Dixon isn't just stranded in France, he's stranded in someone else's rules, and they don't forgive mistakes. Crossbow in hand, he's reading street signs he can't understand and people he can't place. Back home, his instincts kept him alive. Here, those instincts can get him killed. A friendly face might be an informant. A safe route might be a funnel. Tight streets and locked doors turn mistakes into traps. The details stack fast. Every conversation is a negotiation. Every shortcut has a gatekeeper. Every bit of help comes with a price you don't understand until you've paid it. And once you're alone, information becomes the rarest resource because you can't loot it. You have to earn it from strangers who might be lying. Even the accents and gestures feel like traps you were never trained to read. The problem is obvious. Mistrust is Daryl's armor. It's how he survived. But armor has a cost. Mistrust also locks you out of alliances, and alliances are how you stop being hunted. The tension isn't whether he can kill walkers, it's whether he can survive a place where every human interaction is a test. When you can't trust the map, who do you trust? Love versus a brutal regime. The CRM doesn't have to beat you in a firefight. It just has to convince you there's no world outside its rules. Helicopters, uniforms, sealed zones, clean words for dirty work, security, order, necessary. That's how a regime wins after the fall, by turning fear into procedure. And that's why Rick and Michonne are dangerous to it. Love is a network the system didn't build, a bond it can't file or command. Watch how control works. People disappear and the story gets rewritten. Doubt becomes disloyalty. The longer you live inside that logic, the more you start policing yourself, because punishment doesn't even need to show up. You carry it. Even kindness gets audited. Like compassion is contraband, and hope becomes a security risk. But here's what makes it messy. Love can be exploited. A regime can threaten it, trade it, weaponize it. That's the trap. You don't just lose freedom. You start bargaining with your own heart. And then the point lands. Connection creates variables propaganda can't predict. Sacrifice, defiance, escape. If the CRM is the monster, the infected are just cover. The question isn't, can they reunite? It's, what does it cost to stay human when obedience is the safest option? New York is a death maze. In Dead City, Manhattan isn't a backdrop. It's the weapon. An island cut off from everything, packed with rooftops and choke points, turns survival into navigation. One block can trap you. One stairwell can become a funnel. One locked gate can force you into a route controlled by someone who's been waiting for exactly that mistake. The city plays differently than the countryside. It's vertical. Threats come from above, behind glass, from fire escapes, from shadows between buildings. Sound bounces. Sightlines lie. And resources change value. A key, a ladder, a map, a working door. Those can be worth more than ammo. Even daylight feels borrowed. Here's the twist. A maze doesn't need many monsters. It needs confusion and a person who knows the layout. That's where the danger lives. Whoever controls the paths controls the people. Deals become roads, debts become locks, and Maggie and Negan moving through this place feels like two survivors trying to outrun the past inside a city designed to make you circle back. Walkers are everywhere, but the walls are steel and history. If New York forces you to trade pieces of yourself just to move forward, what are you when you finally find the exit? School becomes war. All of us are dead. A zombie outbreak in a school doesn't just create horror, it creates command structures, and nobody has time to grow up. The bell rings, but it doesn't mean safety anymore. Uniforms sprint through hallways, classroom doors get chained shut, desks become barricades, a gym turns into triage. And because these zombies run, panic becomes math. Time, distance, exits, who can keep up? You can feel the slide from friend to asset. Who has phone battery? Who can fight? Who's already wounded? In a building built to control students, control flips hands. The loud loud kid becomes a leader, the quiet kid becomes a strategist, and every bite is more than tragedy. It's a decision about whether the group stays human. But here's the problem. The adults are gone, useless, or too late. So the kids inherit the job of deciding who gets to survive. That's why the show stings. It isn't just teens versus zombies. It's watching a place meant for learning turn into a crash course in cruelty. Listen to how language changes. Save them becomes move. Help becomes risk. If a school can become war in a single day, what was it training you for the whole time? Family turns into doomsday. Resident Evil. Umbrella's scariest skill isn't making monsters. It's making disaster look like normal life. And the brand is everywhere like a warning label. Suburban routine on one side, sterile labs on the other. A father says, "Trust me," while the camera keeps finding locked doors, access cards, and files nobody is allowed to read. The apocalypse arrives like a secret you're meant to live with. Then it stacks up. A solution has side effects. A promise sounds protective but behaves like ownership. The timeline jumps forward and turns into a receipt. Push risk into tomorrow, and tomorrow shows up angry. And here's the uncomfortable part. Love is fuel. Parents lie to keep kids calm. They hide the worst details because fear feels worse. That's how corporations piggyback on family. They let love do the moral work. But the twist is simple. This isn't an accident. It's the endpoint of a system that treats people like products and secrets like safety. When your home is part of the experiment, the outbreak isn't the first horror. It's just the first one you can see. If you learned your family was built on a cover-up, would you still call it protection? Pure human cruelty. Unleashed. The sadness doesn't do classic zombies. It does humans with the limiter ripped out. Look at their eyes. Not blank, not animal, intentional. The infection doesn't erase the person, it weaponizes the person. That's why it hits differently. It isn't random hunger. It's humiliation, domination, cruelty with a target. And you can't use the usual excuse. They're gone. It might still be them. That's what makes it unbearable. They laugh, they taunt, they do it to be seen. That's why every hallway feels like a stage. The clues stack in how the infected behave. They chase suffering, not survival. They use the environment. They choose. That detail flips the genre because you're not fleeing a natural disaster. You're fleeing a mind that's awake and unashamed. Here's the trap. If evil becomes biology, it sounds like an excuse, like nobody is responsible. But that's what makes it terrifying. The infection is just the mechanism. The horror is the idea the impulse was already there, waiting for permission. So the apocalypse isn't bodies rising. It's restraint dying. If shame is the thin wall holding people back, what happens when it disappears overnight? And you're still fully aware of what you're doing right now. Doomsday. But make it free. Zom 100 sells the weirdest apocalypse pitch. The world ends, and it feels like freedom. For once, the panic is quiet. Bright colors, a grin, a checklist, and zombies behind him like a bad commute. He isn't fearless because he's tough. He's fearless because before the outbreak, he was already finished. Exhausted, controlled, hollowed out by a life that treated him like a replaceable part. So the genre runs in reverse. Instead of losing normal life, he escapes it. He eats what he wants. He goes where he wants. He finally says no. The darkest point is simple. Some people were dying slowly long before the dead showed up. But here's the catch. Freedom without structure can rot. A list can be healing or it can be avoidance. If you only chase pleasures, you end up rebuilding the same emptiness, just with different scenery. That's the punchline. Zombies aren't the message. They're the cancellation notice for the system that was killing him politely. The real test comes after the rush. When the novelty fades, who are you without the grind to define you? If doomsday is the first time you feel alive, what does that say about the life you were living before it?